Hey there, welcome to another edition of TXN Sports World. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. Let's not waste any more time, gentlemen. Let's dive on in. The Stanley Cup Finals, which get underway on Saturday night. The Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers squaring off against the Eastern Conference champion Florida Panthers. And the 2024 Stanley Cup Final comes down to arguably the best all-around team in hockey and the club sporting the best player currently in the league, as the Panthers and the Oilers are the last two squads standing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Florida is back in the Stanley Cup Final after losing to Vegas in last year's final. This year, the Panthers took out the Tampa Bay Lightning, Boston Bruins, and New York Rangers en route to the franchise's third finals appearance. And the team is hoping the third time is the charm to win the club's first ever Stanley Cup. On the other side, the Oilers finally reached their first Stanley Cup final in the Connor McDavid era. The Oilers superstar, paired with Leon Draisaitl, finally got over the Western Conference hump this year, taking out the Los Angeles Kings, Vancouver Canucks, and Dallas Stars en route to the franchise's first finals appearance since 2006. The Oilers have not hoisted the Stanley Cup since 1990, going 34 years without a championship in Edmonton. It's no fluke that either team is here. It will be a well-earned championship for either side. If they can ascend the final steps to reach the top of the NHL's mountain, will it be Connor McDavid hoisting the Stanley Cup for the first time, cementing his status as a legend of the sport? Or will the Panthers finally bring a championship to Sunrise? Here's everything you need to know. There is no offense like the Oilers' offense. The combination of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl is enough to make any defensive unit's head spin. But when you pair those two with complementary pieces at the top of the Oilers' offense, like Zach Hyman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Evander Kane, then Edmonton is constantly a threat to score. The biggest knock on Edmonton in years past was their inability to win the low-scoring games. Between shaky goaltending and lackluster defense, it's seemingly always been the Oilers' Achilles heel. However, the defense has improved drastically, and even though Stuart Skinner is not a bona fide elite option in net, he's shown flashes of brilliance during this playoff run. With the Panthers, there really is no weakness. Their depth at forward and on defense is incredible, and Sergei Bobrovsky is providing sensational goaltending. Alexander Barkov is one of the most underrated players in the game. Matthew Tkachuk is proving yet again he is simply a gamer in the playoffs, and Carter Verhaeghe might be the most clutch player currently in the league. Florida can beat you in so many ways, which is what makes the team incredibly dangerous this time of year. The Panthers can play fast and beat you in transition and high-scoring affairs, or they can shut down the defensive zone and come out on top in a goaltending battle. Perhaps the most important fact is that no one can muck it up quite like the Cats, a requirement this time of year on the hockey calendar. When it comes to playoff hockey, experience is a major factor. If you look at all the previous Stanley Cup champions in recent history, more often than not, it's taken a team multiple times to finally get over the hump to lift the Stanley Cup. McDavid is going to get his Stanley Cup. He's too good of a player not to win a championship. It's a matter of when, not if. But this Florida team is simply too good to lose 2 years in a row in the finals. For the first time in Panthers history, a Stanley Cup will be brought to South Beach. I got the Florida Panthers winning this series, and I got them doing it in 6 games. So give me the Florida Panthers to hoist their first ever Stanley Cup and get the bad taste of last year out of their mouths after they were on the receiving end of the most dominant, lopsided championship victory in Stanley Cup history 1 year ago. Florida Panthers in 6. MF, Doc, Stanley Cup final time again. Here we go. Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers, another fresh matchup.
Another fresh matchup, another very good Stanley Cup final, to say the very least, and one that I know you and I are very excited to be doing on Saturday night. I can't disagree with anything you just said there. The reason why I think Florida is going to win it, and the reason why I believe they're going to win the Stanley Cup, is because top to bottom, they're the most complete team. Offensively, on the 5-on-5, we saw how they dominated the New York Rangers. We see how they dominated the Boston Bruins and how they manhandled the Tampa Bay Lightning. It was just absolutely insurmountable. the consistent goalie play with Sergei Bobrovsky, who now I believe could be the Conn Smythe Trophy winner if Florida wins it all. Then with the waves that they just bully you around, and that's the one thing I think New York just couldn't overcome is that the bully style hockey that the Florida Panthers do. Can Leon Draisaitl, can Connor McDavid, can they be able to break the hard press that Florida normally brings? The one thing that uh, Edmonton does have for them is if it gets into the power play. Power play wise, Edmonton is really good. And I think this is where one of the check marks would go. And the other would be once they get into the home ice, they're virtually unbeatable at home. So they just need to figure out a way to maybe steal one, maybe two, in order to get at least a hope or a look at possibly winning the Stanley Cup. And that's really been the X factor more than anything else. Florida is not good at home. Even though they won game 6 and won the series, but they had let a few games get away in the postseason up to this point. So can they handle that pressure? Can they handle it? They are driven because of the fact that, 1 year ago they did get the hearts ripped out. And they were completely wiped out, they had the floor wiped with them in that clinching game, Anthony. We were there in Vegas when Vegas won the Stanley Cup for the first time ever. And it was just one of those type of performances where you're just like, man, you get demoralized like that. How do you recover? Well, they did what they needed it to do. They still believe in Paul Maurice's strategy, which is be more defensive, more of that bully hockey. They try to go the fast route, didn't work out, so they changed it up. They were more defensive oriented this year. And look at where they're at now. Look, Connor McDavid is the best player in the world right now. No doubt about it. He's a bright future for him. Being in the Stanley Cup final is without a doubt the greatest feeling in the world. However, I just don't see them winning the title here. So for me, I'm with you, Anthony. But I partially disagree. I think it's going to go to 7. However, I do have the Florida Panthers hoisting the Stanley Cup for the first time ever in their franchise history. For the second consecutive year, a first time winner of Lord Stanley's Cup. I think Florida takes the trophy home. So, Michael Bullock, it is yours.
Yeah, Florida. What can you say? They continue. They continue to show why they are in this position right now, and like you said, Anthony, it all goes back to last year, especially when they lost that what turned out to be the clincher for the Vegas Golden Knights and the way they won it, and I'm sure that left a bitter taste in the Florida Panthers' mouth, and they wanted to get back here, and now they are. Now they have a chance to redeem themselves. While for Connor McDavid, this is for him and the Edmonton Oilers, especially for McDavid, this is his first chance at the Stanley Cup. And he's going to try to do what he can to lead this team to victory. But I just think Florida, they're just a complete team right now. And until I see something that makes me gonna think otherwise, I'm gonna agree with you guys. I'm going to make it unanimous. I got the Florida Panthers bringing the Stanley Cup home for the first time in their franchise history. But I'm going to go with Fletch here, and I think it's going to go the full 7 games because Edmonton is going to give it their all here. So Panthers win it in 7 games. So it is yours, Florida.
All right, boys, let's get into the UFL playoffs. And the UFL playoffs start this weekend. They start on Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon, rather, with the USFL championship game, as it will feature good old MF's team, the Birmingham Stallions, and they will be squaring off against the Michigan Panthers. And this game, of course, will be in Birmingham on account of Birmingham had the better record. So it's only fitting that good old MF Michael Fletcher starts it off. But before we do, I just want to quickly get the Stanley Cup final schedule. I forgot to mention it. My apologies for that. Game 1, all games are on ABC. Game 1 will be Saturday night in Florida. Game 2 will be Monday night in Florida. Game 3 will be on Thursday, June 13th in Edmonton. Game 4, Saturday, June 15th in Edmonton. If a Game 5 is needed, Tuesday, June 18th in Florida. Game 6 will be on Friday, June 21st in Edmonton. And if a winner-take-all Game 7 is necessary, it will be on Monday night, June 24th from the Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise, Florida. All right, so with all that being said, gentlemen, let's dive on into the UFL playoffs. And it starts this Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock. And I believe, and this game, of course, is the USFL championship game. The Michigan Panthers squares off against MF's team, the Birmingham Stallions, from Birmingham, Protective Field. So it's only fitting that good old MF Michael Fletcher starts it off. MF, here you go. Another year, another playoff run for your Birmingham Stallions. They square off against the Michigan Panthers in the USFL championship game for the right to go to the UFL championship.
Yeah, and this is going to be very interesting to play. Michigan really gave Birmingham a lot of fit last week. Fortunately, Birmingham won the game on a missed field goal at the end. They were very fortunate, but I don't think Birmingham played their full cards. That's why I kind of feel like it was a nice win, but I kind of felt like I know Holtz. I know Skip Holtz. I know him enough. I don't think he was playing with the full deck. And I don't think I don't think he used all of the cards in his arsenal. And that's why I think he was holding back. It was a little frustrating for me because I kind of felt like, man, we got to kind of get the momentum going. We've been looking a little sloppy, especially in the last few games. I believe Birmingham will put it all together, being at home with the USFL title on the line. So I believe when it's all said and done, I got the Birmingham Stallions successfully defending their USFL championship, and they are indeed, in my opinion, heading off to the UFL championship game. So that's my prediction. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, like you said, it was. Yeah, Birmingham did win, but like you said, it just wasn't the same that it normally is. But I think they're going to use that as motivation to play a better game, a better complete game against Michigan. So I'm with Fletch here. I got the Birmingham winning this one, winning the USFL championship, and moving on to the inaugural UFL championship. So it's yours, Florio.
Yes, indeed. It is the USFL Conference Championship game as the Michigan Panthers face off with the Birmingham Stallions. The Michigan Panthers finished with the top record in the UFL this year and the top seed in the UFL Conference. They finished 9-1 with the only loss coming in Week 9 after they had clinched a playoff spot. I think I meant the Birmingham Stallions. My mistake. Meanwhile, the Michigan Panthers finished 7-3 on the year, taking the second spot in the USFL Conference and being tied for the second best record in the UFL overall. These two just played last week in the final week of the season. The Stallions would be down 16-6 at the half, but would come back to take a 1-point lead on an Adrian Martinez touchdown pass with 59 seconds left. Panthers had a chance to win it, but would miss a field goal as time expired. The Birmingham Stallions are opening up as 5-point favorites. Panthers are third in the UFL in yards this year, sitting second in rushing yards, but sixth in passing. Still, they are fourth in the UFL in points per game. Danny Etling has been the primary starter for the Panthers this year. He has missed some time, but played last week and will continue as the starter in this one. He completed 69 of 114 passes, good for 787 yards this year. Etling threw 3 touchdown passes and was intercepted twice this year. Also ran for 143 yards and 2 scores this year. Matthew Colburn II has taken over as the lead back this year. He has 401 yards rushing on the year with 4 touchdowns in just 8 games. Further, the Panthers have Wes Hills, who has run for 377 yards and 5 touchdowns. Panthers have scored well on the ground this year, scoring 19 times on the ground this year. Marcus Sims has been great receiving. He has brought in 23 receptions this year for 426 yards and 3 touchdowns. Trey Quinn also had 27 receptions for 239 yards and a touchdown this year. Rounding out the top receiving options is Cioce Mariner, who has 346 yards and 2 touchdowns. Panthers are 4th in yards against per game this year. Panthers are 3rd in points allowed per game this year, while sitting 2nd against the run and 5th against the pass. Breland Sparks has been solid this year. He has 13 tackles for a loss and 9.5 sacks on the year. Kai Nakua has been amazing in coverage. He has 3 interceptions and 8 pass breakups on the year. The Birmingham Stallions are 1st in the UFL in yards per game, sitting 1st in rushing yards per game and 2nd in passing yards. They are 1st to the UFL in points per game this year as well. Adrian Martinez has been amazing this year for the Stallions. He has completed 134 passes on 229 attempts, also threw 15 touchdowns with only 3 interceptions. He also leads the team in rushing with 528 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ricky Person Jr. led the rushing attack from the halfback spot, 297 yards, 6 touchdowns. Further, CJ Maribel had 293 yards this year and has scored 4 times as well. In the receiving game, Deion Kane leads the way. He has 436 yards on the year with 3 scores while leading the team with 33 catches. Jay Sternberger has scored 4 times this year while bringing in 454 yards. Ricky Person has also been solid in the receiving game out of the backfield with 13 catches for 150 yards this year. The Stallions are 2nd in the UFL in yards against per game. They are 1st in rushing yards against per game, while sitting 4th in passing yards against per game this year. The Stallions also allowed the 2nd fewest points per game this year. Carlos Davis has been great this year. 23 tackles, but also has 4 tackles for a loss, 7 sacks, and a forced fumble. Further, Taco Charlton, 5 tackles for a loss and 6 sacks, while Jordan Thompson and Dondria Tillman both have 6 tackles for a loss and over 3 sacks. Additionally, A.J. Thomas has 3 interceptions and 4 pass breakups this year. While the Stallions have not looked good in the last 2 weeks, part of that was the Stallions knowing they all but had the top seed locked up. They did not show much last week on their offense and still came away with the win. The best player on the field this year has been Adrian Martinez, and he will continue to shine in this one. I got the Birmingham Stallions winning this game. My final score, 26-21. The Birmingham Stallions defeat the Michigan Panthers and advance to the UFL championship game. So with that being said, let's move on to the XFL championship game that'll take place on Sunday night at 7 o'clock over on Fox, as it will be the San Antonio Brahmas squaring off against the St. Louis Battlehawks from the Dome at America Center in St. Louis, Missouri. So with that, I'm just getting I just need to get the odds here. St. Louis opening up as a 2.5 point favorite. So Michael Bullock, who you got? San Antonio or St. Louis out of the XFL? Bullock, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
What's the?
Let me reset. It's the San Antonio Brahmas versus the St. Louis Battlehawks for the XFL championship at the Dome at America Center in St. Louis, 7 p.m. Sunday night on Fox. St. Louis opening up as a 2.5 point favorite.
Yeah, I think this should be a good game here. I think San Antonio is definitely going to give St. Louis some fits here. But I think at the end, I mean, look, St. Louis is at home. I just don't see how they're going to squander this chance to play for the UFL championship, especially when you're playing on your home field. So I got St. Louis winning the XFL championship and moving on to the UFL championship. It's yours, Florio.
Yes, sir. The Brahmas are 4th in total yards this year while sitting 4th in rushing and 3rd in passing. They are also 6th in points per game. Chase Garbers had been the starting quarterback, completing 96 of 140 passes for 765 yards and 6 scores. Still, since the injury, he has split time with Quinton Dormady. He has completed 103 of 173 passes for 1,206 yards and 6 touchdowns. Still, he has been intercepted 6 times and sacked 12 times in the year. John Lovett has been the primary man on the ground this year, 422 yards on the ground this year with 5 touchdowns. Behind him is Morgan Ellison, who has 206 yards and has scored 3 times. Meanwhile, Jontre Kirkland, 614 yards receiving with 3 touchdowns this year. Further, Marquez Stevenson, 265 yards and 2 scores, while Alize Mack scored twice this year. Cody Latimer, 391 yards and a score. Justin Smith coming on as of late, 265 yards and a score. The Brahmas, I clicked on it too hard. The Brahmas are 1st in total yards against this year, sitting 3rd against the run and 1st against the pass. They are also the 1st in points allowed this year. Jordan Williams has been in the backfield a lot this year, 5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. Same is true of Tavante Becker, who has 9 tackles for a loss and 1.5 sacks. Currently, 12 different players have recorded a sack for the team this year. The Brahmas have also forced 9 fumbles this year, recovering 6 of them. The Battlehawks are 6th in the UFL in yards per game this year. They are 3rd in rushing yards and 7th in passing yards. The Battlehawks are 2nd in the UFL in points per game this year. AJ McCarron has been leading the team this year at quarterback. Completed 64% of his passes for 1,582 yards and 15 touchdowns. Further, he has thrown just 4 interceptions. McCarron also has a rushing touchdown this year. Still, McCarron has missed time with an injury, and he's been beaten up as of late. Meanwhile, Jacob Sailors leads the rushing attack. He ran for 461 yards and 5 touchdowns this year. Wayne Gallman also with 4 touchdowns on the ground, while Mateo Durant with a touchdown and 134 yards. Hakeem Butler, great in the receiving game, 652 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's also brought in 45 of 67 targets on the year. Further, Marcel Ademan has also scored 3 times this year. He has 17 catches for 208 yards on the year, while running back Jacob Saylor has caught 3 touchdowns out of the backfield. The Battlehawks are 3rd in the UFL in yards against per game this year, 5th in rushing yards against, while 2nd in the UFL in passing yards against. Willie Harvey comes in with 9 tackles. That's 2nd in the UFL in passing yards against. Willie Harvey comes in with 9 tackles for a loss while having 4 sacks, 6 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles. Travis Freeney and Pita Tomopino both have 5 sacks, with Freeney having 7 tackles for a loss and Timopino having 5. Meanwhile, Cameron Kelly, 3 interceptions on the year. AJ McCarron was not great last week and did not look fully healthy. He needs to play much better in this one if the Battlehawks are going to win. This will be a close game, but with another week to get healthy, expect the Battlehawks to win for a 3rd time over the Brahmas this year and have the chance to play at home for the UFL championship on Father's Day night. I am going to say 20-17, the St. Louis Battlehawks defeat the San Antonio Brahmas. So it would set up a Birmingham St. Louis championship game in St. Louis. Oh boy. It's going to be in St. Louis regardless of who wins, but nonetheless, 20-17, I got St. Louis winning. MF, your thoughts?
Yes, I totally agree with everything you just said there, Anthony. I'm also in an agreement, and I also kind of feel like that is exactly what's going to happen. So at the end of the day, I'm with you on this one. I'm also going with St. Louis to win the XFL title, and thus that will give them the right to fight for the championship. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it is yours.
And I am going to turn the mic over to our own Michael Bullock, because Michael Bullock, of course, last week participated in the 2024 Special Olympics Rhode Island State Summer Games from the University of Rhode Island, along with all of our dear friends from our group outing crew. So Michael Bullock, per our annual tradition, Special Olympics State Summer Games 2024. It's all yours, babe.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, it was definitely. I mean, first off, the weather was definitely perfect for that weekend, and yeah, and it was you you gotta see it to believe it. I mean, of course, everything got started on Friday. Of course, my new team, of course, the Rhody Rangers. We we had some of our events that on Friday, and of course, I competed in the 200-meter run, and I did get fourth place in it, but had some really good competition against other athletes from around Rhode Island. And then, of course, at night we had our great tradition of the opening ceremonies, but we had it inside the Rhody Rams football team stadium, and yeah, it's just a great atmosphere, and of course it was a little emotional too, paying tribute to two people that passed away, including Greg Jones, who we recently talked about, and yes, the family of Greg Jones was there for it, and obviously the MCs of the night were, of course, WPRI 12's own Mike Montecalvo, and one of the athletes from the Trudeau Tigers. His name is Chris Lucier. They both did a really good job, and of course we heard from a lot of people. Of course, the governor Dan McKee, um, those representing the University of Rhode Island, and of course, somebody that, of course, now that you two know so well, the president and CEO of Special Olympics Rhode Island, Ed Pacheco, and we even got the athletes got a little surprised. We also got a video message. Well, we did get some video messages from other state representatives, but one that really got us by surprise. We heard from none other than the Boston Celtics' Derek White, who wished the athletes the best of luck in the state summer games, and that really got all the athletes, especially those that are Celtics fans, excited, especially ahead of the NBA Finals. And of course, you had the traditional athlete's oath, the coach's oath, uh, the volunteers' oath, um, and then the lighting of the cauldron, which is such a great moment every time. And the games were officially declared open. And we had a lot of events going down on Saturday. Of course, you had bowling, you had track and field, you also had swimming. Well, the swimming actually came on Sunday, but yeah, I mean, there were a lot of good things going on down there on Saturday. Of course, they had a WPRI booth where some people from Channel 12 were there. And Florio and Fletch, you're gonna love this. We had some RWA wrestlers there too, and we had a little bit of action there. So we had appearances from AJP, um, um, uh, Gabe Morales was there. I mean, a lot of the wrestlers were there, but they were just there to entertain the athletes of Special Olympics Rhode Island, and of course the current world champion was also there too. So, and like I said, it all concluded on Sunday with the like I said, swimming, and of course you also had the powerlifting competition. So, like I said, this is now the second year in a row we had a full weekend of action, and just again, we want to thank everybody, the University of Rhode Island, for putting on another great summer games. The volunteers who came out, took time out of out of what they do to help volunteer for this event. And yes, volunteering for Special Olympics Rhode Island, it's something, because you definitely get a chance to see the athletes out there competing and giving it their all, because there's always that, especially with the athlete's oath, and that is, let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. And what we saw this weekend was nothing short of that. So So any thoughts from you guys?
Well, I want to address
One more thing I forgot to mention. I did get 2 gold in the 100 in the relay, so forgot to bring that up.
yes, and I understand all of our friends did very well too.
Yeah, Brian Keenan, he got some medals too, and
A
Ryan
gold, a silver, and a
Avedisian.
bronze.
Yep, and Ryan Avedisian. I think he did because he was doing bowling, and I think Sarah also did well in the swim competition. And so did Heather Ryrostic as well. So, but all in all, I think everybody did really well with their competition this past weekend.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, what went through your mind, Bullock, when you saw Derek White's message?
Well, it surprised me because I mean, we knew we were going to be hearing from some other people, but as soon as Mike Montecalvo said, "Do you guys like the Boston Celtics?" I'm like, "Okay, where's he going with this?" And then he said that one of the players, Derek White, sent out a video message, and I'm like, "Wow!" And that to me was pretty cool that he took time out of getting ready for the NBA Finals to send well wishes to all the athletes competing that weekend.
Indeed.
And I almost wanted to start a "Let's Go Celtics" chant, but I don't know if that was I don't know how that was going to do, but maybe I should have.
I think you should have.
I would have pulled the trigger on it. I would have done it.
Yeah. But all in all, I mean, just another, like I said, I mean, just another great weekend of the state summer games. I mean, it's always special, especially whenever it is you get to go down to URI and just experience it.
Absolutely. So appreciate you sharing that. Sharing that as always, Bullock. I mean, it's always great to hear about all these, and
it's not just the volunteers, but also the staff at Special Olympics Rhode Island that really were busy leading up to the state summer games.
Absolutely. So the RWA wrestlers.
And Ed Pacheco should be very proud of it.
As he should. Yes. So Providence Bruins were there, RWA wrestlers were there, URI basketball players were there. I mean, from all the posts and videos and pictures that I've seen on our respective social media pages, it looks like you all had the time of your lives, as always. So yes. So look forward to hearing all about it again next year. So one last order of business here tonight, gentlemen. Game 1 of the 2024 NBA Finals took place earlier this evening. It ended about half an hour or so ago, as it was the Dallas Mavericks squaring off against the Boston Celtics from the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts for Game 1 of these NBA Finals. And I don't know what else there is to say except this. Jaylen Brown scored 22 points. Kristaps Porzingis added 20 in his first game in more than a month. And the Boston Celtics powered past the Dallas Mavericks 107-89 tonight to take Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Derek White, the aforementioned Derek White, finished with 15 points for Boston, which led by as many as 29 points in the first half and connected on 16 three-pointers in a powerful start to its quest for an 18th NBA championship. Porzingis, who had been sidelined since April 29th with a strained right calf, came off the bench and provided an immediate spark, adding 6 rebounds and 3 blocks in 21 minutes. 6 Celtics finished in double figures. Dallas cut the deficit to as low as 8 points in the third quarter, but Boston quickly pulled away again. Luka Doncic led Dallas with 30 points. PJ Washington added 14 and 8 rebounds, but Dallas couldn't find offensive consistency beyond that, totaling just 9 assists on its 35 field goals for the game. Former Celtic Kyrie Irving struggled throughout, finishing with 12 points. He received a loud and extended chorus of boos tonight when he was introduced before the game. It continued throughout the game whenever he touched the ball. The treatment came after Irving sparred with Boston fans and was fined for using an obscene gesture during a 2022 playoff visit to TD Garden. Celtics, seeking their first championship since 2008, showed little rust from their 10-day layoff after sweeping the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. They flowed with energy throughout, sharing the ball in the half court and getting the ball to shooters for open threes. They also attacked the interior of the Dallas defense and got to the rim for several dunks. Meanwhile, apart from Luka Doncic, who shot 12 of 26 from the field, Dallas struggled early to get into its sets and couldn't find a consistent groove offensively. The Mavericks led by 1 midway through the first quarter. Celtics responded by outscoring them 44-16 to make it 58-29 in the second. Things changed over the next 12 minutes of game action when Dallas used a 35-14 run, including 15 points by Luka Doncic, to cut the Celtics lead all the way down to 72-64. But Boston ended the quarter with a 14-2 run to get it back up 86-66 entering the fourth quarter. Dallas had just 5 assists through the first 3 quarters, the fewest any NBA team has had in any game through 36 minutes in the last 3 seasons. Porzingis ended his 10-game hiatus when he came off the bench with 7:17 left in the first quarter in place of starter Al Horford. With the exception of a white compression sleeve on his right leg, it was hard to tell Porzingis was coming off an injury. He got into the mix quickly, knocking down a pair of free throws after being fouled by Doncic. A possession later, he connected in his first field goal when he dropped on a short jumper over Doncic, and he was not done. Minutes later, he got loose in the paint for a two-handed dunk over Derek Lively. On Dallas's next possession, Porzingis was there to swat away Jaden Hardy's layup attempt. Celtics pushed the ball up the court and got the ball back to their big man, who calmly buried a 16-footer. It was part of a 17-5 run by Boston over the final 5:24 of the quarter that saw Porzingis go 4 for 5 from the field, score 11 points, block 2 shots, and grab 3 rebounds. Boston carried a 37-20 lead into the second quarter. Porzingis finished the half with 18 points on 7 of 9 shooting. And by the way, that 17-point lead after 1, the largest first quarter lead in an NBA Finals game ever. Celtics setting another record here tonight. We check the box scores. Of course, for the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown with 22 points and 6 rebounds. Jason Tatum, double-double, 16 points, 11 rebounds. Horford, 10 points, 7 rebounds. Jrue Holiday, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Derek White, 15 points and 5 assists. The main talking point of the night, Kristaps Porzingis, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks off the bench. Sam Hauser had 8 off the bench with 4 rebounds. And Cornette and Mikalik also put up 2 off the bench. For Dallas, Luka Doncic led all scorers, had a double-double, 30 points and 10 rebounds. And then it was P.J. Washington, 14 points and 8 rebounds. Kyrie Irving, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Gafford, 8 points. Jones had 5. Hardy had 13 off the bench with 3 rebounds. And that's really all there is on that one. And as we go to the team numbers here, Boston shot 47.6% from the field. Dallas, 41.7%. Here's the big discrepancy here, 3-point shooting. Dallas was 7 out of 27 for just north of 26%. Boston, 16 of 42 for 38% from 3. Free throws almost even. Dallas, 12 of 19 for 63%. Boston, 13 of 19 for 68%. Rebounds, offensive rebounds, each team had 10. Defensive rebounds, Boston 37, Dallas 33. So overall, 47-43 the rebounds for Boston. Here's another we got some more discrepancies here. Assists. Celtics had 23 assists. The Mavs only had 9. But the Mavs did have steals, though. The Mavs had 8 steals. The Celtics had 6. Another discrepancy. Celtics had 9 blocks. Mavericks only had 1. Mavericks committed 11 turnovers. Celtics committed 14 turnovers. 10-6, the fast break points in favor of Boston. 46-38, the points in the paint for Dallas. Both teams committed 16 fouls. Dallas actually led by as many as 4, but Boston led by as many as 29. The Boston Celtics up 1-0 in these 2024 NBA Finals. 107-89 winners over the Dallas Mavericks. Michael Bullock. Wow. Kristaps Porzingis. Rust? What rust?
Yeah, exactly. What rust? I mean, he hadn't played for 38 days, and that was the big question going into Game 1 of these NBA Finals. I mean, the people are saying that he was 100%, but the only question was there going to be any rust from having not played for that long because I left soleus strain? But those questions were answered immediately. There was no rust in this guy. He was back, and boy, he really was contributed in a big way with 20 points. And yeah, if we get this throughout the finals, it's going to be very tough for. I mean, when you got Porzingis with the way he is, and if Tatum and Brown can do their thing, and everybody else contributing, it's going to be tough for the Mavericks to really overcome this. I mean, but like as we always like to say, it's only one game. I mean, we'll see what happens come Sunday night in Game 2, but yeah, I mean, they had a 29-point lead in that first half, but the Mavs, they rallied to really, they brought it to single digits. But once Joe Mazzulla got that timeout, it's almost like they woke up and they once again got a double-digit lead, and they just never looked back. So, and the other thing going into this was, I mean, how are you going to stop Kyrie and Luka Doncic? I mean, the thing is, if you let one of them go off and nobody else contributed, I think you'd be okay with that. But yeah, Doncic had 30, but Kyrie Irving only had 13 points, and yeah, that's not going to get it done in this. And yeah, I mean, Dallas was just putrid from 3-point range, but also, I mean, the defense was really good for the Celtics. I mean, 9 block shots, and yeah, Porzingis doing it offensively, but also defensively too. So yeah, a really good start for the Celtics team. Up 1-0 in this series. It said with Game 2 set for Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, so it's a half hour earlier than before. Of course, as I always like to say, as I promote it, of course, it all starts with NBA Countdown with Malika Andrews in the crew at 8. No, actually, it's 7:30, but locally on NBC Sports Boston, it starts at 6 with Celtics post up, and then of course pregame live at 6:30. Then immediately after, of course, it's post game live. So tune in Sunday night. Can the Celtics go up 2-0 before the series shifts to Dallas, or can Dallas somehow bounce back and even the series? So we'll find out. But a really good start for the Celtics. I like what I saw from them. So quick thought from any of you guys. Yeah, I mean, Fletch, I mean, if there were any questions about possibility of rust from Kristaps Porzingis, I think those questions were answered emphatically.
I think the big question was there rust on the Boston Celtics, period? Because remember, they had not played in almost a week and a half going into the NBA Finals. And that was really a major factor that a lot of people kind of were wondering. And, right out of the gate, they came out, played really good, dominated early on. It was evenly matched until Boston made that big run and exploded. Then I kind of felt like they put the foot off the gas a little bit, and that's when Dallas started making their run. And I honestly thought, are they going to go all the way back? Um, at that point, they did not. Boston was able to weather the storm, and then obviously turned the whole thing around and took the game. Finally, got the game in their control and ended up winning this. So, yeah, this was an amazing performance by Boston. They needed that game more than anything else, and they got the job done. So, hats off to the Celtics. That's a big game one win that they need. Just to feel good for themselves. You know, you always want to get the first game out, especially in a championship series like this. You want to get the advantage. You got it. So now, if for some reason Dallas should come back and win game two, you got to split. It's 1-1 going to Dallas, and then the pressure goes to the Mavericks. But if you're Boston, if you play the way that you played tonight, minus the third quarter collapse, the mini third quarter collapse, that should put them in a good spot where they could win the series. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it is yours.
All right. And with that, that will put the bow on this edition of TXN Sports World. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. MF, do we have any future content coming up?
The only future content that we actually got, Anthony, is on Friday. We got SmackDown. We got a Cerebral Smack Talk. SmackDown Live. And oh, by the way, I believe this is the weekend that we are going to be previewing NXT Battleground from the Apex.
Correct.
So we're going to be doing that.
All right. So
at 10:30.
All right, 10:30 tomorrow night. MF will have it. Brace Fan 95, Cerebral Smack Talk. We will review Friday Night SmackDown and preview NXT Battleground. And so that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and of course, in spirit, always and forever, the First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw the Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching TXN Sports World right here on Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, sports can indeed be actually real too. So, but for everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.
And go Celtics!